Okay, so this is what I ended up with. You can see the tips go from the neckline going down to the hem, and on the hem I have the hem last row reversed in direction. On the what would be the seam, they overlap significantly, so I can pick that up when I turn it over and make sure those seams are closed. And I just wanted to show you here, this is the open sleeve, and I added an additional piece of wool here just because these edges here are going to be a little bit delicate and you want them to not just be plain old silk but a little bit of wool, and I might put a little bit more there too. So on the edges of the sleeve I brought these in just to make sure that there's some wool there. This is going to get folded over. This is the wool that I got from Heather's shop, and I'm really intrigued by it because you may notice very closely that the pieces of wool are not solid. It's a striated type of dye, and I'm hoping that will give some depth of dimension that you don't get with wool that like this blue gray, which I really like, also from her shop. It's not as striated, it's going to be more flat, it'll have less depth of dimension. So I'm really intrigued as to how this blue stuff will come out. At the neckline I put two solid edges right at the neckline and right below it. Why did I do that? I want to see what that's going to turn out to be like. I want to try to mimic the neckline that I have here. So you can tell I had a solid line here, and then these are the little points of the wool, and then it's all solid down here, all the way down. So I'm wondering what it's going to turn out like if I do solid neckline, these little thingies, and then another solid, and then the rest be open. So we'll see what that looks like. This is one of the pieces that I wore, but I wanted to show you that the when I took these wisps off of the roving, I put them down so that the bottom part of them, well actually if you look at this more closely, the tips are facing the opposite direction of the piece that I'm making right now. But what's most notable, what I wanted to show you, is that there's a lot of silk open in between these pieces of wool. The wool themselves don't touch as much as this one does. This one you can see again the points are going downwards, but the wool is touching it itself more between these pieces, so you get a different look at it. It looks differently. So the density of these pieces are much more dense. There's a lot more of them than there are here. So here, because they're more separated, you get much more visibility to this ruching effect. I like both of these. Equally, but some people like one over the other better. And then here's another thing to look at. Again, this is the neckline that I want to try to create. This particular one has sleeves on it, which I really like. But anyway, this is what I'm trying to get at the neck, but I want it to be two of these instead of one, just to see how that comes out. But you can see with this one, I reversed the direction of these wisps. At the neckline, I had the little tips going upwards, but then the next line, I had them all going downwards. Why? Oh, just to see how it would come out. This one is very similar in terms of its proximity of the pieces as this one. So it gives you a completely different look than this one, where they're all separated and you get much more of the silk showing through. Last but not least, here's another one. I really do like this particular phoenix or feathery design. And these pieces were definitely separated from each other much more notably in the body. This was what was at the fashion show, although in the fashion show it was worn backwards. Very different neckline. Again, you can do a lot of cool things by doing these pieces instead of solid. And then at the bottom, I reversed at the very hem, like I'm doing now. I'm reversing the direction of the pieces. I'm going with the tips going from the top down, much like I'm doing in the one right now, and at the very bottom, then I bring them together. This one, you either love it or hate it, but you can see in some places there's a lot of distance between the pieces. And so you get much more of that poofy whooshing. Most of what I have been doing with this particular design is bringing the dark edges in to give you a perception, give you a perception of a waistline on something that really drapes on you straight down. So it gives you that waistline type of effect. I have not done that in this one because you can only do the same thing over and over again before you get really bored. And this one's more of a flow from the right down to left of the front, so a little bit different. I think a lot easier than what you guys learned in the workshop. But if you can do what we did in the workshop and do it well, you can practically do everything else that's sleeveless. Once you get to sleeves, it becomes a little bit more complex.